World War I. When did World War I occur? What caused it? How did the war unfold? What was the final outcome? Please watch. It was the summer of 1914, a time of elegance, progress, and pride. Europe stood at the height of its power, its empires vast, and its nations thriving. No one could imagine that within months, this shining world would be swallowed by darkness. The first great war in human history was about to begin, and it would change everything. On June 28, 1914, a single gunshot echoed through the streets of Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary and his wife Sophie were assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a young Serbian nationalist. That gunshot did not just take 2 lives, it shattered the fragile peace of Europe. Europe was a ticking time bomb. Hidden beneath diplomatic smiles lay an intricate web of alliances and rivalries. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Russia defended Serbia. Germany stood by Austria-Hungary. France supported Russia. And Britain, hesitant at first, watched the storm build on the horizon. The stage for global war was set. In early August 1914, the world plunged into chaos. Germany invaded Belgium, forcing Britain to declare war. The old continent, once proud of its culture and civilization, now marched into madness. Millions of young men, full of honor and hope, went to fight for causes they barely understood. From the German point of view, it was a war of survival. Surrounded by powerful enemies, Germany believed it was fighting for its right to exist. Its leaders spoke of unity and destiny, of a rising empire threatened by jealous rivals. For the soldiers, it was about loyalty and love for the fatherland. But to the Allies, France, Britain, and Russia, Germany was the aggressor. They saw a ruthless empire seeking domination through fear and force. Their fight was one of justice, to defend freedom and peace. For them, the war was not only about borders, but about the soul of humanity itself. Soon, the world learned a new word: trench. The Western Front stretched from the North Sea to Switzerland, a landscape of mud, barbed wire, and death. Soldiers lived like ghosts, surrounded by rats, disease, and the constant thunder of artillery. Days turned into months, months into years. Hope faded. For the first time, machines became monsters. Tanks crawled across no man's land. Poison gas drifted silently into trenches, choking men where they stood. Airplanes dropped bombs from the sky. Humanity had entered a new age, an age of mechanized slaughter. Far to the east, Russia fought Germany and Austria in vast battles across frozen fields. Millions died. Villages burned. Empires trembled. The Russian soldiers fought bravely, but their nation was collapsing from within. Hunger, corruption, and revolution brewed in the shadows. The Great War became truly global. The Ottoman Empire joined Germany and Austria. Japan and Italy sided with the Allies. Even faraway lands like Australia, India, and Canada sent troops. By 1917, nearly every corner of the world was touched by the conflict. Then came a turning point. In April 1917, the United States entered the war. President Woodrow Wilson declared it was time to make the world safe for democracy. With fresh troops, endless supplies, and powerful industry, the balance began to shift. By 1918, the Central Powers were collapsing. Austria-Hungary disintegrated. The Ottoman Empire crumbled. In Germany, the people were starving, exhausted, and angry. Soldiers deserted. The Kaiser fled. The once mighty empire was broken, not by swords, but by despair. On November 11, 1918, at the 11th hour, the guns fell silent. After 4 years of unthinkable suffering, the Great War was over. Over 65 million soldiers had fought. More than 20 million lives were lost. The world had survived, but it was forever changed. The victors met in Versailles. Germany was blamed and humiliated, forced to pay enormous reparations. But resentment festered. The defeated felt betrayed, and the victors believed justice was done. Yet deep down, everyone knew peace built on bitterness would never last. When the war ended, the world looked upon the ruins. Cities in ashes, families torn apart, generations lost. There was victory, yes, but no joy. The soldiers who returned home carried invisible scars. And in the silence that followed, a darker future began to take shape. The Great War lasted from 1914 to 1918, just 4 years. But its echoes still haunt us today. It was a war with no true winners, only survivors. It taught humanity that pride and hatred could destroy the world. And yet, somehow we forgot that lesson again, just 2 decades later. The Great War was not just a battle of nations. It was a tragedy of mankind, a story of bravery and loss, of hope and heartbreak. And though time moves on, the whispers of 1914 still ask us one haunting question. Will we ever learn from our past? The First World War was a tragedy that revealed the true cost of pride and hatred. It showed humanity how fragile peace can be, and how easily progress can be destroyed by conflict. Millions of lives were lost, not for victory, but as a painful reminder of our shared vulnerability. From its devastation, the world learned that peace cannot be achieved through power or revenge, but through understanding and cooperation. The courage and suffering of those who lived through the war taught us to value dialogue over division and empathy over ego. Even today, the echoes of 1914 remind us that lasting peace begins with compassion and unity. The Great War's legacy is not just one of loss, but of hope, a hope that humanity will remember its lessons and choose peace before history repeats itself. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.